experienced officers in the federal government, the state government, and for many other state agencies. In addition to that, Golden West is known for its exemplary programs in the mathematics and science areas, and we have a top-notch faculty in ecology education. In addition to academics, this college has distinguished itself in community college athletics in this state. The college holds the highest total number of state championships of any California community college. Not bad for a college that's only 35 years old. Many of you probably know that many of our neighboring and sister colleges within and without our district have histories and lore that go back 50, 55, and 60 years. So to be able to compete and have that level of success in a college that's basically a teenager in terms of the history of the California community colleges, I think makes all of us that work here very, very proud. This Courtyard ceremony began in 1991 as part of the 20th anniversary celebration. This year, Golden West recognizes 2 pillars of support, 4 outstanding alumni for 2001, and adds new names to our donor wall. I would like to recognize some of the important people and friends of the college that are here today. One of our trustees is here, Dr. Paul Berger. Paul, would you stand, please? From the city of Huntington Beach, elected council person Ralph Bauer. A number of other people were scheduled to be here. If they come in, I will try to introduce them as I see them. The Chancellor of the Coast Community College District, my colleague, Dr. Bill Vega. A longtime friend of mine and a former colleague when we worked at Coastline Community College, the new Vice Chancellor for Educational Services and the Foundation, Mr. Ronald Berggren. Our Director of Public Affairs, who came to us from working in a local agency and has done a lot of work in Sacramento, Miss Erin Cohen. You will meet others like Gene Farrell when they introduce the people that they will introduce. Golden West College Foundation board members that are with us today, of course, are stalwart Mr. John McGovern. From Toyota, Bob Mailing. From Elmore Toyota, Judy Elmore. Judy is a distinguished graduate of Orange Coast College, which has a deep history, 50-some years, so welcome, Judy. Margie Sorensen, retired from our faculty. I believe Cheryl Tittle is here. Would you stand, Cheryl, if you are? I believe Ann White, President of the Nursing Alumni Associates, is here. I believe Emily Young of our foundation is here as well. And Norma Brindell Gibbs has walked in, and Norma is the former mayor of Seal Beach, California, Huntington Beach, and very active in the community. Norma? From our student government, the president of the Associated Students of Golden West College, Derek Shelley. The 2000 reigning homecoming queen of Golden West College is Gracie Hernandez. And I would like you to at least say hello and have the young ladies who are the 2001 homecoming court please stand. Our homecoming is this Saturday at LaBarge Stadium, and we play our crosstown rival and sister institution, Orange Coast College. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Wes Bryan, our Vice President of Instruction, who will come forward now.
God, Ken, you're right. This is really a nice view of this fountain here. Now, when they get a little trout in it, it'll be really... No. This year, we're honored to introduce 2 pillars of support into the Courtyard of Honor. This category represents individuals or businesses that have given over $25,000 to Golden West College through the years. Our first pillar of support, located in the physical education area of the campus outside the new fitness lab, is in honor of Mr. Glenn Parker. Glenn, who is playing for the New York Giants, started his career by playing football at Golden West College. He is one of 12 NFL players in the history of professional football to play in 5 Super Bowls. Glenn generously supports the Golden West football team each year. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Glenn's parents, Kathy and Harold Parker.
Gosh, this is just wonderful. Glenn came to Golden West with absolutely nothing in mind except he wanted to be rich. Well, he had a friend who dared him to go out for football, and he'd never played football in his life. His mother wouldn't let him. I'm a nurse and I don't like football, but off he went, and he convinced me he could do it. And obviously he convinced the coaches here, Coach Shackelford, Coach Shaughnessy, Alex Skirky, and the late Dennis Dixon. With their love and their support, and I mean love, they convinced him he could do it. He had the wherewithal to do it, and off he went. And from there on, he just was all up. He went from here to the University of Arizona. From Arizona, he went to the Buffalo Bills, and then 5 Super Bowls. He can't go to any more Super Bowls because I don't have any more room in my chest for any more pins. So he has to stay home now. He'd be here today, but he had to work. They made him go to work today. So he's watching or hoping to see a videotape of this. There's absolutely nothing else I can say except that Glenn is very grateful, and he knows where he came from. And his parents are proud of him for his achievements, and we're also proud of him that he has not forgotten that Golden West is where it started. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Our second pillar of support, located in front of Forum 1, is to honor Toyota Motor Sales United States Incorporated. Toyota has been a very good friend of Golden West College throughout the years. 3 of our foundation board members are affiliated with Toyota. John McGovern, chair of the foundation board and retired senior vice president. Bob Mailing is vice president of Lexus sales and dealer development. And Judy Elmore is the vice president of Elmore Toyota here in Westminster. This involvement certainly shows the company's dedication to education and to the communities in which it resides. Accepting the pillar of support on behalf of Toyota Motor Sales USA Incorporated is Bob Mailing. Bob?
Thanks so much. On behalf of Toyota Motor Sales USA, we really want to thank Golden West College for this recognition. I got to tell you that our relationship with the college is very long and has a firm foundation. That foundation was really laid, quite frankly, by one of our senior executives, John McGovern. So John, we really appreciate what you've done and making sure that that fabric of the relationship between Toyota and Golden West is so strong and so long-lasting. Also, on behalf of Toyota, I have to tell you we feel a bit humbled standing up here accepting any recognition. We feel, quite frankly, the recognition should go to Golden West College. This college really enriches all of our lives in this community and the surrounding community that it serves. Let me just give you a couple of examples. You may not be aware, but actually several hundred Toyota associates live in the communities that Golden West College serves. Add to that their family members, and then add to that our wonderful dealers such as Judy Elmore and her associates, and we have many, many people that either got their start or restart in higher education right here. And for that, they're personally grateful. If I was to talk about personally for one moment and flashed back 10 years ago when I returned to Huntington Beach, having been relocated to the East Coast, and I'm sitting in that nervous situation at my new dentist office, and I look up on his wall and I see all the certificates and awards. And when I met him, one of the first things he said to me is, "I'm Dr. Robert Moretta. By the way, I'm a local person. I started at Golden West College." So I too personally have been touched, let's say, by Golden West College, to say the least. And also, as was mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Sales for Lexus. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that while higher education and the arts and science is wonderful in many ways, it does often have an economic benefit. And we greatly appreciate all the wonderful prospects that Toyota gets from the higher education of Golden West College. And if I put my Lexus hat firmly on, thank you very much for those of you who aspire to even a higher level. But on a serious note, our relationship is long-term, it's solid. Toyota is not a fair weather friend. We understand that higher education needs us all the time in good economic times and bad. And I just want the college to understand and to know that we're with you for the long haul. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to introduce Dr. Lee Eastwood, Vice President of Administrative Services.
Those of you who will be coming up here, these are floaters, so you have to watch it and balance yourself. Good afternoon. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to present to you 7 individuals and/or corporations into our Golden Society. The Golden Society is a category of donors that provide donations in the category of $10,000 to $24,999. As your name is called, we'd like the inductee or a representative of the inductee corporation or individual to please stand. Those 7 individuals or corporations are as follows: the Assistance League of Huntington Beach, Boeing, thank you, Boeing Corporation, thank you Boeing Corporation, British Petroleum, Elmore Toyota, Smith Crappe Scholarship, St. Joseph Hospital, and Dr. and Mrs. Ken Iglesias. Ken, thank you. Much thanks and appreciation to all 7 of those donors into the Golden Society. This calendar year, 2001, we have 101 additions to our donor wall. The donor wall is behind me and to your right, if you're facing me. These names are either new supporters or individuals or corporations who have moved up to a higher category during this calendar year. 11 donors are in the honors category, which is $5,000 to $9,999. 16 are in the President's Circle, which is $2,500 to $4,999. 7 are in the Scholar Circle, which is $1,000 to $2,499. 60 are in the Western Circle, which is $250 to $999. That's an impressive list, 101 individuals and corporations in those categories. This donor wall is cumulative. The Western and Scholar Circles have annual nameplates. The President's Circle, the Honors Circle, and the Golden Society have permanent nameplates. The donors are listed in your program. And after the ceremony, if you could, it would be nice to take a moment to visit the donor wall, which is off to my left here. Thank you very much for your generosity, and it is now my pleasure to reintroduce Wes Bryant.
It is my pleasure to introduce the outstanding alumni presenters. First, Mr. Gene Farrell, former Coast Community College District Vice Chancellor.
The odds were less than 50-50 that I'd make it without falling. Teaching it's a wonderful profession, and many of the benefits are non-monetary, obviously. And one of the greatest is the positive feedback you get from watching your students be successful, not just in the classroom, but in their family life, in their community, in their profession. And pardon me, it's my great honor today to introduce one of those young men. You have to think how long ago this is. In 1970, one of our coaches, Fred Hoover, came to me and said, "There's this young man in my weight training class who thinks he's a football player, and I think he should be an offensive lineman." And we weren't gifted with the greatest at that time. So I said, "Oh, sure, I'll talk to him." And he brings to me this young man. And there's a great deal of difference between offensive linemen and other humans. If you notice, Donnie Wiggins, who you'll meet later, looks like he was carved from granite. Offensive linemen usually look like they're carved from cookie dough. And this was 1970. He brings this amoebic young man to me, and he had hair that looked like Don King after a shower, and I thought, oh my God. And little did I know that that was going to start a more than 30-year friendship. And during that time, as you have read in your brochure, he became a policeman here in Huntington Beach. And during the 10 years that he was a policeman, he completed law school, passed the bar on the first try, then became an assistant district attorney in Orange County, did that for 8 years, and then was appointed to the bench as a municipal court judge in Newport, and more recently he's been selected as a Superior Court judge. All magnificent achievements. But there's something that I think is even more important. I know a number of policemen from my family and other friends and lawyers that have stood before his bench, and they all say the same thing. He's very bright, he's very fair, and you better have your ducks in order. And I can't think of a better compliment to pay to a person who sits on the bench in Orange County. We are very lucky. We're very lucky to have him as an alumni of Golden West College. And one of my dear friends, Craig Edward Roberson, his honor.
He looked at my speech. Most of the people that I talk to, this is a fairly unique privilege for me. Most of the people I talk to these days are in custody. And so to have people who are here of their own volition is a fairly new experience. I don't remember things quite the way Gene described them. There's some similarities, of course, but I thought about what I'd say here, and I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about the way I remember my introduction to football in Golden West College. I graduated from high school in 1969. from Fountain Valley High, as a matter of fact, and Dr. Berger was my principal. And I just teased him a little bit this morning, or this afternoon. He's got the same blue blazer that he used to stride around campus in. It's been retreaded a few times, but I remember that. It's one of the images that you take from high school is your principal and his appearance, and he looks great, doesn't he? In any event, I came here from Fountain Valley High School. I guess if I was looking for one word to sort of describe the direction that I had at that time, I would say drifting, because I really didn't have a direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I still don't think that I do. But I went to Golden West College because that was the only option I had for college. I became a liberal arts major, and most of the lawyers and people that appear in front of me will tell you I'm not a liberal. They sometimes don't always agree with my judgments, but they know that they're honest and fair. In any event, I had to take PE. I took weightlifting because I was actually pretty skinny, if you remember, Gene. And my hair was a little longish at the time. And I think I might have been 180 pounds, maybe 185 pounds. And I got drafted into the football program. Hoover told me, you ought to come out and try out for football. We need some players, and you know, we can put some muscle on you, and we can put you into the program. And so because I was drifting and didn't have anything to do really, I welcomed the opportunity, went and gave it a shot, and got a lot of encouragement, not just as a football player, but as a young man who I think the coaches recognized needed a little direction. I was always encouraged, and I never felt like football was the most important thing. I always felt like I was important and that my education was important, and actually after a year of football I knew I wasn't going to be a professional football player. I couldn't keep the weight on then, and now I can't get the weight to come off. So I'd like to go back to 180 pounds if I could. Anyway, the next thing I know, I'm out on the football field, and I've got Coach Farrell, who was the offensive line coach, banging my helmet 5 days a week. And I teased him in one of the recent emails I sent him. I told him that, and this is true, Woody Hayes learned how to hit a player in the helmet from Gene Farrell. If you ever remember any of those sort of famous sideline antics of Woody Hayes. You never made it on the local television channel, did you? But anyway, he also taught me to play golf. I had to take a PE class after weightlifting, and so I took a little golf class here, and we had our 9-irons, and we'd hit them around into circles that were marked on the football field out there. And I owe my bad golf stroke today to Gene Farrell. And you're going to have to take me out and get rid of that slice that I've had for 30 years now. The important thing I'd like to say, I guess, summing up here, is that people emerge in your life like Gene Farrell, like Fred Hoover, like Coach Shackelford, like the others that I ran into here at Golden West College, that when you reflect back, you look at the effect that they had, the sort of influence they had on your direction in life and the things that you accomplish. And a lot of what I am, I learned at Golden West College and took forward with me in life. A lot of my accomplishments are not really mine. They're the sum of a lot of other people that influenced me. And I do consider Gene a great friend, and sometimes thank yous come a little bit later than they should. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate all the help that you gave me. And for those of you that are out there that are educators, you don't know, and it's not always obvious, the kind of effect that you are having on a young person when you teach them not just about whatever your subject matter is, but what you teach them about life. They take that with them on into the future, and they share it with their children and with the other people that they have contact with. And keep doing what you're doing, because I'm thankful for those people. I'm thankful for the coaches that I met here and that encouraged me in this program. And this is really not my honor as much as it is theirs. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Tom Hermstead, athletic coach.
Good afternoon. This is pretty nice. I retired, I don't know, 10 months ago or something, and I don't know, this wasn't here. This is very pleasant. So to whatever crew and whoever coughed up the money, Mr. Eastwood, or the foundation even maybe, this is very, very pleasant, very nice. As I stand here today, I am reminded of the excellence that people are allowed to demonstrate in this country. We are a country where talented, hardworking folks have a chance to excel. Each of our honorees has excelled in their chosen field, and I congratulate you. Tim Spaeth. I first met Tim as a high school senior at Edison High School, where he was a student body president and a water polo player. I visited with Tim and his parents one night at their home, hoping to convince Tim to attend Golden West College. I had a nice talk, especially with his parents, but when I left, I was not optimistic. Fortunately for everyone, he made the best decision. In Tim's 2 years playing water polo at Golden West College, and he is being honored actually for business, the team was undefeated in community college competition. He was a captain, an MVP, team won a couple of state championships. I have to tell you a story about, he was approximately 18 or 19 years old. We were playing one of the final games, the championship game, and a few hours before the game, I would give each of the players an assignment or two. And Tim's assignment was real simple. The best player on the other team, he was supposed to stop him from scoring. Maybe he wouldn't score as much, but I would give that up in the hopes that he could stop the other person. And, you know, then if we got lucky, maybe he'd score a goal or two. So it was pretty clear to me, and I guess I never had Wes Bryant's communication class, what his job was. In the first 30 seconds of the game, a switch happened, and Tim switches off of this player. They throw the ball to that player. He throws the ball in the goal. It's immediately in the first 30 or 40 seconds, 1-0, and Spaceman has scored. Well, in those days, I was verbally abusive. And I didn't communicate very well sometimes because usually what came out of my mouth didn't make any sense. And I was ranting and raving, and I pulled my best player out of the water in the first minute of the game and proceeded to begin lecturing him on the pool deck. And he calmly turned to me and he said, "Would you just tell me what I did wrong and put me back in?" And I'm just going, "You don't know? You're supposed to be guarding that guy?" "No." "Well, you're supposed to. Put me back in." The guy never scored another goal. We won the game handily. And but you think you're the great communicator, and then you need a 19-year-old kid to tell you, "Hey, just tell me what I did wrong in a sane manner." So, Timmy, thanks for that. He continued his education at Long Beach State and began with a couple of partners a newspaper called The Barnstormer. And this was an interesting thing for a 20-year-old person. The Orange County Airport was growing big time in the late 70s and early 80s. And Tim and his partners saw a need to let the other businesses in the surrounding area of the airport, let them know what was available to one another to maybe help them do their jobs. And with that, they started the Barnstormer, and it was, you know, a few pages, and it was 10 pages, and it was 40 pages, and it was 60 pages. It was in color. I watched a few of the nights when they had to have the thing, the deadline put out, and it was just amazing what the barnstormer ended up being. He and his partner sold it a few years later, and he opened Timothy John's custom framing business in Irvine. 2 years later, he opened another shop specifically for retail. In 1989, Tim sold the framing business in Orange County, and he and his family moved to San Clemente, where he opened Timothy's Fine Art. He has worked with such people as David Copperfield, Ronald Reagan, Don Sutton, and the companies Disney, Nordstrom, Liz Taylor Cosmetics, Estee Lauder, etc. He has established marketing and sales centers in New York, Atlanta, Dallas, Seattle, and High Point, North Carolina, the furniture capital of the world. Locally, he has a showroom in the LA Merchandise Mart. What is the future for Tim and his family? Tim feels that his business, Timothy's Hardware Company, established in 1996, might be the business future. He has trademarks on 2 products, Z-Bar and Z-Gel products, whose sales have risen dramatically in the last 4 or 5 years. The products are labor and manufacturing friendly. Tim has been extremely creative. In the big wave surfing community, there are 2 words that explain success. Charge it. Tim is a world champion body surfer. He's a tremendous, tremendous ocean fisherman who loves to fish by himself way the heck out there. Whether it's in waves, business, or family, he charges it, and I don't mean financially. Our society will continue to be successful because our young people can be creative and charge whatever endeavor they choose to excel in. I congratulate Tim and the other honorees. Keep moving forward.
I didn't write anything today because I wanted everything to come from the heart. And what I remember, or what comes to mind most of all, is back when we were seniors in high school. You know, most of us think we have a direction when we truly don't. And then something comes along and starts that direction and that movement and begins the foundation of the fundamentals that take each and every one of us to the other directions of our life. And Golden West was definitely the foundation and the base fundamentals for me in my life for what's happened in the future, or at least 20 years since leaving Golden West College. I had a good time with Tom as he shared a few moments with you and the water polo program here. And that water polo program gave me the opportunity to leave Golden West College on the ability to go anywhere, basically anywhere, any college that I wanted to. A full ride opportunity at Stanford, at Pepperdine, at UCLA, and there might have been another college or two. And I explored each and every one of those schools, and what it boiled down to was staying near my roots and staying near my family and my friends. And I chose to go to Long Beach State, which was a fantastic opportunity and a fantastic choice for me. I made those choices because of the fundamental understanding and knowledge that I gained from Golden West College, because I didn't have to be anything more than who I was. And I think at Golden West College, that's what I found out most of all, was who I was. And I didn't need at the time, or what I thought I didn't need at the time, was a bigger degree, which I learned out later it would have been nice to have that Stanford degree or that Pepperdine degree. But can't look back, got to move forward. And maybe that's that charging thing, Tom. We're still charging. Golden West also gave me another opportunity in my life that I'm still able to work with today, and actually I'm still enjoying today. And Golden West introduced me to my current business partner, Scott Bozanek. Scott and I have been friends from water polo and became business partners back in 1990. And Scott has shown me things that I didn't get from school, yet he went and graduated from Cal Berkeley, has his master's degree, and we now share a lot in common between the two types of programs. And I appreciate that. I think as we move forward in the years ahead, it's important for us to share with our young people that they need to choose a direction that's right for them at that particular time, rather than to push them into a higher level at that moment. That higher level will come, and that higher level is there as an opportunity for each and every one of us. I've seen by pushing too hard, it sometimes doesn't come out as well as it could. And I thank my mother and my father for that, my friends. I thank my wife and my two children who I share my day with every day, as many of you do with your families. Golden West College, to conclude, is a place that is always in my mind. It shares a special spot in my heart. I can probably remember more activities around this school than I can from any other educational experiences. And that's a treasure that I will always take with me. And I thank the school for the opportunity today to have me invited to this great event, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Chip Marchbank, Director of Equal Opportunity Program and Services.
Good afternoon. Gene Farrell mentioned that it's a 50-50 chance that he was going to make it up here without falling, and that's an able-body's look at things, because a disabled person looks at it as 50% was getting up here. The other part's getting back. Van Tuene is an individual that has been in the NFL he completed his 4th year this last year. Van Tuene is not being honored today by me because what Van Tuene has done in the NFL. Van Tuene is being honored because the road that he took to get to the NFL. Back in 1988, when he was finishing his high school career at Westminster High School, at that time, coaches would bring kids over in their senior year, get them enrolled in classes in the evenings, get them a leg up on what the college experience was like before they started the next year. Van attended that spring class of 1988, or his last semester. He attended a class that I taught in sports medicine. He came in the door, he had a stocking cap pulled down over his ears, he had some gang clothing on, and he was a gang member. And when he came into me, he'd sit and tell me stories about things that would happen in Westminster with gang activities that were going on in the community. And he would come to my class from time to time in the early part of it, and then he kind of disappeared. And as far as I knew, I didn't have a clue what had happened to him. I knew that the coaches wanted him to play football. I knew he was a talented football player. I knew he was a bright individual, but the road had taken him someplace else. And as that road progressed along, he got deeper and deeper and deeper into gang activities. And it came to a point in time, a couple years down the road, where he decided, I need to get away from this. He'd had a child, a son, and he decided, I'm going to move up to the state of Washington, into Seattle, get a job up there, and try to make my life right. So he went up there and was struggling, working in like a Hyatt hotel, setting tables up for conventions and working in that particular facility, and wasn't making much money. Started to get some thoughts in his mind, well, maybe there's an easier way for me to make money and make it simpler for my life. And then, at that time, he had a daughter. And when he had the daughter, his life totally turned. I mean, he just lived and died for his daughter. When he went to work, got a second job working at the airport, trying to support his family, was pretty happy about what was going on, and then his daughter died of SIDS. And he went into major depression over that. He left Seattle, came home, moved back into his family's home down here, was extremely depressed, had no idea what direction he wanted to go in his life, was struggling with everything that was going on. His gang affiliations were starting to try to make contact with him again, and was frustrated. And he remembered that back when he was here, the coaches said, Van, if you ever want to work out, come on down and use the weight room. Get some of the stress out if you need to. So he did. He showed up here on the campus in 1992, and he came up and he thought, I'm just going to work out over there. And as he started to work out, a couple of the coaches approached him, Pug Pierce being one of them, and saying, hey, Van, you know, you still have eligibility to play football. You never started out of high school, so you still have eligibility. And Van kind of told him, nah, not really. And then he came by my office, and we started chatting because I'd known Van for a long time. And I said, hey, Van, come on. If you think that's a direction you want to go for it. Come back to school. We'll help you get your classes. We'll help you get the right direction. And so he thought about it, and he did. And he came back to Golden West College, started working hard in his classes. He started working extremely hard on the football field and in the weight room, and he became very successful in his football career. Not only was he eligible to take a scholarship at the end of his second year of competition, because he had done all his general education, he'd done everything he needed to do to progress to a four-year school, which, by the way, for an athlete is difficult, because when you start participating, you have a short period of time before you have to move on or you can't play anymore. So he worked hard in the classroom, he worked hard on the fields. And at the end of his sophomore year, when he was ready to transfer, he got an offer to the University of Arizona to go and play football for them. And I put him up for an award that year, again, for overcoming the adversity that he had. And so when I put him up for this award, and we went to this award ceremony, and there was a bunch of people sitting around, and we're sitting at a table, and he leans over to me and he says, Chip, and I said, what? And he said, this is amazing. I've never sat at a banquet table before. I've set a lot of them up for people, but I've never been set at one myself. And I said, well, you know, Van, you're going to have to get up and say something to these people. And there was a big banner up on the wall behind us. And I said, now remember, this is the 3C4A. That was the group that honored him at that day. And I said, look, this is the 3C4A. So if you get nervous, just stop for a second, take a deep breath, glance back, look at the sign, and then turn around and say thanks. So I remember when Van got up there after I introduced him, and he got up and he says, I'd like to thank the 3C4A for the honor today. You know, Van, again, is successful in the NFL. Van has got his family set in a fine home in Indiana where they want to live in the future. But Van speaks volumes about what the community college is about, getting people a fresh start and getting them a place to go in their life. It's my honor to introduce Van Tuanay.
Thanks a lot, Chip. Trying to make me cry again, man. Thanks. When I first came to Golden West, I was 22 years old. I thought I was too old to play football. People would make fun of me, didn't believe in me. Then I learned later on that all they were doing is trying to encourage me. Coach Shackelford, Coach McGuckin, Coach Pierce, they all gave me a hand up. My life was going nowhere. I just want to thank Golden West for giving me a second chance. I'm having a good life right now, and I look back on my life and see what I've accomplished. And sometimes I ask my wife if I'm even worthy of getting this award. It's been a hard road. I'm not finished trying to accomplish what I do. I know I listen to all these honorees, and I gotta keep charging, just like some of these men and women been talking about. It took me a while to get my life together. It took me a while to grow up and actually reflect on my life and see what's going on. And Golden West turned my life around, literally. Just gave me a second chance. This is a school that I was here to pave my road to success. Though it be football or raising my family, raising my son. I just thank the men and women of this school for giving me a second chance to change my life. This is it. I look at my high school, and a lot of people are real connected with their high school, but I feel more connected with this junior college. It's closer to my heart than any other educational institution that I ever been to. When I first got on the football field, players used to say, hey, Grandpa, come over here and let's run some drills. I was 22 when I came here, and there was rookies in the NFL that were 22. And I was just starting my life in college as a 22-year-old, and to make new friends here. Now these coaches, they're no longer my coaches, but I still call them coach. It's because they still talk to me. They're still coaching me through life. I'm not very good speaking to the public. I've always been a quiet guy, sitting in the background. And, I learn from other people on what I need to do, how I need to improve my life, how I need to improve other people's lives. I just want to change other people's lives like my life's been changed here. And hopefully I can continue my success in the NFL and continue and trying to do the same things these men and women are doing here at this school. I'm going to be living in Indiana. Hopefully I can change some lives out there with the story I got and other kids. I got my son right here. It took me a while to get him. I had a battle in courts for like 5 years to get my son, and now that I got him, I feel that's more of a success than going to the NFL. I just want to. I just want to thank Golden West. They've been so kind to me, and I'm never ever going to forget the school. I might be living in the Midwest, but my whole extended family, my parents, I'd like to thank my mom and dad, my grandmother, I got an unending extended family. They're all over the place, and I'd like to thank them. My whole family is here in California. It's here in Orange County. And I'll be the only one in Indiana that, I'm trying to make my own little chapter somewhere else. But my heart will always be here in Golden West. I know these men that's been calling me. They helped me. Chip Marchbank, thank you very much. He's been my academic advisor. He's been a teacher. And now he's a very good friend of mine for life. I'm going to hopefully I can do more good things with my life so I can come back here in Golden West and be a part of this institution. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce Ray Shackelford, Athletic Director at Golden West College.
Thank you, Wes. It's really a pleasure to be here. I've been here for 36 years, and this is the third time I've had the opportunity to come to this ceremony and introduce one of our former athletes. It started in the second year with Randy Vataha. You know, having been the football coach for 29 years, people think a lot of times about wins and losses and great football games. I'd have a very difficult time trying to remember 5 games in 29 years that were really meaningful. But there have been so many players like Van and Donnie and Craig Robeson and Randy Vataha and Andy Verano and the different people that have been honored here also. Tom McMahon, the defensive coordinator at the University of Utah, Dr. Jim Harper at the Mayo Clinic, Glenn Parker, whose parents were here today and he was honored. I get the greatest kick every Sunday when John Madden gets on the television and talks about old Glenn Parker, voted one of the top worst bodies in the NFL. He's also on John Madden's all-Madden team, meaning he's really a great football player. But he's had tremendous publicity, recognition, and a long time in the NFL. So to me, the football games, the wins and the losses were not nearly as important as all of these players have been over the years. The relationships, you've heard, I think today, all of the coaches and the presenters talking about the relationships, and you've heard the inductees talk about the relationships. So to me, it's the relationships that are really important. In 1978, Don Wiggins wrote me a letter from a little small college in Iowa, a little junior college in Iowa, wanting to know what his opportunities might be to come to California and participate in a junior college in their athletic program. You can't imagine the number of letters I would get each year of the same kinds of inquiries. And you never hear from them again. I mean, you write back and you tell that person, you know, they're going to be a long ways from home. They're going to be paying out-of-state tuition. We don't have dorms on the campus. There's no housing. They got to find an apartment and pay rent. They've got to pay utilities. They've got to pay food. They've got to pay their living expenses. We don't have scholarships. So you can imagine what the response is. They just don't show up. Well, you know, to kind of make a long story short, I think Don had a vision. And one day he said, I'm coming. We got another letter, phone call, and I'm coming to California. Could you pick me up at the bus depot? So I said, absolutely. So after 5 days on a Greyhound bus from Florida, Don showed up, and it was like I say, it was back in 1978. The Greyhound bus depot was down next to Jack's surfboard shop in Huntington Beach. I drive down there and meet the bus, and here comes this guy off the bus. He's got a suitcase in his hand. I think it's every belonging he had in his life. He's been on a bus for 5 days. I'm sure he's tired and hungry and wondering what's going to happen next. So we get in my car and we drive over to here across the freeway to a little house in Westminster where we were going to help him, you know, find housing. And there's 10 other football players in there. There's no furniture. There's mattresses on the floors. And he's thinking, oh my, I can imagine what he's thinking. Oh my gosh, you know, what am I going to be doing out here? Lindsey Gray, who now lives in Salt Lake City and was one of our former players, is one of his roommates. And a really nice guy named Bob Tietze, who I know Don has kept in touch with, is one of his roommates. Walter Evans, whose brother was Vince Evans, the pro football player, quarterback in the NFL. He was from North Carolina, and he was one of their roommates. So Don has no job, he has no car, but I still think he has this vision of what he wants to accomplish in his life. So one of the first things he did, and completely upon his own, he goes over to Levitt's furniture store and he gets himself a job. He was an extremely hard worker. They just loved him there. And it ended up leading to many, many, many of our athletes being hired by Levitt's because of this kind of path that Don had carved over there. Both my sons, who went to Golden West College here, worked 2 years at Levitt's, really because of the things that Don had done there. You were going out and getting a job and working hard and trying to help himself get through school. Donnie was a great football player, extremely strong, very, very fast, a good student, a 3.23 grade point average, had a tremendous work ethic, whether it was at Levitt's or in our weight room or on the football field. You could see this strong body and this work ethic he had in our weight room. He's a great person. He has a really nice family. See these handsome children over here? They're way more handsome than their poor dad. He won a Mr. USA contest, a Mr. Expo contest, a Mr. Orange County contest. He's had tremendous success in his chosen field of business, the nutritional field. He has accounts with every major company you can think of, from Save-On to Albertsons to all the stores. He travels extensively all over the country selling his product. To say the least, I think Don and his vision were successful. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Don Wiggins. As you can tell, he's dressed a lot better than he was when he got off that Greyhound bus depot. Thanks, Don.
Everyone looking very nice today. This is an excellent honor here today. I can honestly say that my life began here at Golden West College. When Coach Shackford first picked me up, from the Greyhound bus station, hey, I was on my last rope. Because when I left Iowa, it was a bad situation. And I never forget, and I ended up going home, St. Petersburg, Florida. And my stepfather, James, I told him that, hey, I'm just going to hang out here. I'm just going to give up. But James had other things in mind. He said, well, I tell you what, why don't you come and help me dig some holes here, and we'll talk about it. And I spent a week digging these manholes. Well, it changed my mind very quickly. But I tell you what, you got some excellent coaches here like Coach Farrell. This guy always smiled, no matter how bad the situation is. Always loving, kind. Chip Marchbank, hey man, I love you. You're a good man. I tell you, it takes people like that pretty much to give you inspiration, to keep you going in life, to keep a good level head, making the right decision. Sometimes things don't go the way you plan. Sometimes life is tough. But I learned here at Golden West College that you never give up. You never stop trying. That's my memorial stone here at Golden West. Every time I come here, I'm so proud to see what's going on at this institution. It's excellent. I'm proud to say that I married a beautiful woman, wife, Kim Wiggins. My in-laws been very inspirational in my life, been very supportive. My kids, I love them dearly. I'm a proud father. But growing up, I never had a father. So what an excellent opportunity for myself to be a father, supportive. I am proud here today. I'm a simple man. There's nothing technical about myself. I'm a hard worker. I believe in keeping it straight. keeping it honest. And I'd just like to thank you all for this wonderful plaque, what you put on the wall there. That's really mean a lot to me. And I thank you very much, Chip, Coach Shack, Coach Farrell, and thank you very much.
I know for many people in colleges and universities, graduation is their favorite day, an event of the year. But ever since I attended the first Achievement Pillar of Honors event at Golden West, this has been my favorite event that we do because it lets you have a glimpse of what happens to those students after they turn that tassel and walk across that stage. And it reminds us why we do what we do and the influence we have. And so it's now my pleasure to invite Dr. Iglesias to come forward and inaugurate the 2001 Outstanding Alumni.
This is what community colleges do, what you've heard these gentlemen talk about today. This year it turned out that our awardees happened to have excellence in the physical education and in the athletic area. Last year we were predominant in the fine arts. And in the tradition of the community colleges, every year we honor different people. We've honored nurses, we've honored cosmetologists, we've honored PhDs in economics, we've honored dentists and medical doctors. So it just tells you how great these public community colleges are, and that's why we all consider it a movement, a social movement. What I want to do now is bring up all of the awardees, if they will come here, because I now get to install them. The installation process is very simple. They just need to raise their right hand and say that they will give whatever loose change they have to the California community colleges. No, that's a joke. That's a joke. I'm sorry, ever the fundraiser, right? Here is a memento of our expression to Craig Robinson.